Hi guys, it's me, Tally, and I'm here doing my podcast, which is awesome. um, Thank you to Nicole McGuire for doing some interviews like a month ago, so that I had something to release yesterday. Sorry, it actually could not matter how much time I'm given to work on something. I will do it the night before and no sooner. And then I obviously did it the night before, and then I was like, wait, I need to do a little bit more on that. So here is that now, a little bit late. It's me and my dear friend Riley. And like 2 years ago, the beginning of 2023, she had, I guess, like a health scare. I don't know exactly what you would call it, but she's going to tell you the whole story. That's what this episode is. And it's really kind of more of a serious and a sad story, but we also are kind of giggly throughout. We actually had sat down to do like a completely different podcast where we were going to talk about her experience currently in being in school for social work and what kind of stuff she's learning, and we were maybe going to like look at some questions online or like read some posts about therapists and therapy in general. But then we started talking about how her experience in the hospital is shaping what she's studying now. And then we started talking about the hospital, and then we were kind of like, well, this is, a little bit more interesting than what we were talking about. And we're kind of going into in depth. So why don't we just stop and take a break, and then we'll re-record and just talk about this. And then hopefully in the future we'll do a follow-up and talk about her life since all of this stuff happened and like what's still going on, and then we can talk about how it shaped her education as a social worker, and how she currently works in a hospital with patients. Anyway, just general content warning, it's kind of a sad episode. We talk about death, we talk about sickness, cancer, all of that stuff. So if you're just here for giggle laughs, maybe skip this one. But it's also really a good story. Not good like I'm glad it happened, but good like it's very indicative of the human experience. Am I right, guys? Anyway, there's good and bad and everything in our lives, and so here's a little bit about the bad. But things are way better now, and we talk about that too, and things are okay, and yeah. I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, sorry for the whiplash of like silly goofy stuff to some of the most serious things you can talk about, but that's kind of my vibe, and I will be doing that without warning all the time. So thanks, and take a little listen, and love you. Email me. Someone email me. God, I don't get any emails anymore. It's tryingmbpod@gmail.com. God, I hope that's what it is. Also, I have an Instagram. Everyone who's listening to that is following me, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, and also if anyone wants to be on the podcast, please reach out. I've got a little list of people, and I'm sorry if I'm a bad texter, but I do want to talk to anyone and everyone I can. And this has been so fun. Okay, let me shut up. I love you. I love you. Okay, bye.
Do I need to intro myself? No, again, we said we go to high school with all these people, so.
Yeah, we do go to high
So,
school.
hey, it's me, Riley, from high school. Since high school, some stuff's happened. No, I mean...
So you were in New York at Columbia,
yeah,
studying social work.
Yep, I was in person at Columbia, living in New York. Life was good. Honestly, okay, so the day before the shitstorm began, I was like, I had called my mom. I was I was just at my friend Hayes' birthday party, and she had this gorgeous little birthday party with bagels and lox, and it was gorge, and champagne, and I had a great time making new friends. I was a little day drunk, like in the city, where you just take the train, you walk everywhere, you don't need to like worry about, like, it was just really like I was feeling like I was in.
You're free.
Yeah, it's really what New York is. It's such a beautiful place to live in your early 20s and like get to experience independence, and loved it. So I called my mom and I was like, I'm living my best life. Thank you for letting me live here. The night before I went to the ER, I got dinner with like all my best friends. So I had just had a really good day of being like, I love New York City and it's an awesome place to live. And I had this little issue going on. I thought I was sick. I'd been posting on my close friend story, like, about, like, I was like, I must have a cough. Like, something isn't right. I was wheezing, like, in and out, which was weird. I don't have asthma. I was working with, like, I had a personal trainer at this point. And I was literally like, I am so out of shape, which is crazy because we'd been training together. We never stopped. It was like, I was in, allegedly, like, the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
And also, like, I did burpees, dude.
Yeah.
I used to be able to do burpees. Wow. Maybe we'll get back there, but...
Hopefully not.
Well, yeah. I mean, thanks to my lungs, hopefully not. So...
Hopefully you could get to the point of doing
I
burpees,
could, but I don't have... But I can choose not to.
Yeah, exactly.
100%, yeah. I didn't know I'd ever, like, miss that,
right,
you know?
Right.
So anyway, I just was like, I am not feeling good. I was trying to catch my breath way more. Okay. So I'm trying to like do these at home, like steam bowls, like everything. Nothing was working. And I was like, I think it's getting worse. So I basically was like, I'm not going to go to my internship today and I'm going to the hospital. I just feel like I could probably have my thought was I have bronchitis and they just need to give me steroids or something, or like an inhaler. And I go in and I'm fully, if you were there on my close friend story, you saw me fully posting.
Yeah. Live updates.
LOL, I'm in the hospital. LOL, just got
this is so
a
crazy.
CT.
Probably stupid of me.
Yeah, like I'm being so dramatic. Yeah, so that was awesome.
And turns out.
So yeah, I was sitting there doing tests, being like they were asking me all these questions, like, have you traveled anywhere? You know, all the things. No. All my blood work was coming back kind of okay. But, like, it was clear that I had an infection of some sort.
Sure.
But, again, they were, like... and my lungs weren't sounding clear. You could hear the wheeze, like, just from me talking. Like, every breath was... gross. And I got a CT. I got a chest x-ray, came back normal. I got a CT. I've gotten CTs before. Like, this was nothing I wasn't expecting anything to come from it. And then a doctor came into my room. And she was like, oh, yeah.
Women can be doctors.
Oh, my God.
So sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm literally so sorry to interrupt to say
She
that.
was, yeah.
But I do think it's important to note, huh?
It is important to know women can be doctors, huh?
And
women can get a PhD these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. So a doctor came in and she was like, do you have a history of lung disease?
Awesome question.
I was like, no. And she was like, now you do.
Now you do, baby.
Now you do. She said there's not a pulmonary embolism, so there wasn't a blood clot in my lungs, but there was something else in there, and my airway was being constricted. So she just off the bat was like, we're gonna admit you and see what's going on. I was in New York, so I'm in the ER at this point. It was a Monday that I went in.
Yeah.
I don't there's no beds in the hospital available for me, so I'm still in the ER, but they moved me to another little section of the ER. So I was told, just wait here. Probably in the morning, you'll have doctors come and we'll talk more about a plan. So I called my mom immediately, obviously, and was like, hey, Mom, you gotta come. Something's wrong. And she came immediately. My mom was so helpful. Like, she was the goat. It was really unbelievable. Like, my mom got the first flight out on Tuesday morning, came straight to the hospital with her suitcase. Like, she was there.
Yeah.
And the doctors, like, came into me with, like, a bunch of med students. And they were like, we think, so based on your scan, what it looks like to us is lymphoma. Ooh. So the first thing, they were like, yeah, we think it's lymphoma. And I was like, okay. Truly, my honest reaction was, okay, great.
Right.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, next steps? Because I don't think I was in the mindset of,
it's probably nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like,
you were prepared for the worst.
I was prepared.
The worst came and you were ready to move on.
Right. That's what I thought. Yeah. But at that point.
Even then, it was not.
So they were like, the mass in your lung, like, it's really concerning. We want to get it out ASAP. Right. I'm like, me too. Let's do that.
You guys want it out.
Yeah.
I want it out.
Like, sounds good. Let's go. You know, what's the plan? And they were like, well, we need to get you a bed here. And then we actually need to get you transferred to another hospital because the surgery we want to do is done on the west side of, at this hospital, or on the east side. And we don't do it on, like, whatever. I don't know.
Some stupid logistic things.
Probably right. I mean, they were right, but I was mad.
Yeah, of course.
And New York, like, at that point, like, the ERs were full, the beds were full, like, there were no beds. Yeah. So it was really hard. I was in the emergency room for, like, almost 3 days.
Oh my God.
Like, I was sleeping, like, I think my mom and I think by the end the count was like 50 something hours of being in the ER and being told, like, you need emergent surgery, but we're not in a hurry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my break just started.
No.
So
and also during that, I wasn't, because they thought I needed emergent surgery, I wasn't allowed to eat or drink.
Dude. Oh my God.
You wouldn't believe when I found out that I wasn't going to be getting surgery that day, I was like, give me whatever you have.
Yeah.
I had the ugliest turkey sandwich you ever seen.
Ugh.
But of course I was like, this is gorgeous.
You could drink water.
No, because they thought I was going to go into surgery. This was also like the whole week.
Dude, I don't know if this is true about everyone, but me personally, it's like, as soon as I don't have the option to drink water, I'm like, I've actually never needed water more
in my life. Yeah.
Not that that's like really really like the most important thing that's going on here. But...
No, but you make a really great point. We should talk about that more.
Wait, that's the worst thing that happened to you in this hospital?
Let's change the vibe.
Let's redo the podcast again and talk about being
water.
Thirsty. Yeah.
No, it does hit really good. Really good. After a concert.
Yeah, there's actually
ice water.
Nothing I love more than a cup of ice water, and you know that.
Oh, God, I know that. That's why I made you ice water.
You made me ice water as soon as I got here.
Yeah, of course. I'm a really good friend. Anyway. So anyway, I was in the ER till Wednesday. So I got there Monday morning. I left Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
To go get a bed. I did not get a private room. No.
Please.
I had a roommate, Joan, who didn't want me there, and you know what? I didn't want her there either.
No. Neither
of us wanted that. Like, there shouldn't be no more sharing rooms in hospitals. And I don't think there was, except I kid you not, we were literally in, like, I swear the lights were off in the hallway. Like, they just threw us in a corner of a dusty old room. Like, I was looking at the walls being covered in dust, being like, I have a lung, a mass in my lung. Like, I'm coughing shit up, and I'm like, is that the reason? Also, there's a woman across from me who is sick as hell, coughing too. Is she getting me sick?
Yeah.
What is going on? And that wasn't even the worst part.
No, and what really made me laugh is, like, you're in the midst of this, like, emergency situation where obviously you do not know what's going on, and that is incredibly stressful for you, but you're also, like, kind of updating me every once in a while. Like, obviously you can't keep me fully updated. You're
Right.
just texting me while you're in the middle of an emergency situation, but you're keeping me updated. But it's so funny because, like, you have no idea what's going on, and I'm desperate to know what's going on, and then you're like, wait, I gotta tell you about my roommate Joan.
No.
I'm wait, but, like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And you're like, I have no idea. But Joan
is
really
crazy. Keeping me busy, and, like...
Let me see if I can find the text messages.
That would be huge. Yeah, she was sick in a lot of ways. She was... I don't know who...
I found
You
it.
found it?
I did find it.
Oh, because you searched Joan.
Yes, I did. This was in February of 23.
Wow. Okay.
2023. And the other thing was, like, I was in constant contact with your parents because I was watching their house and the dogs.
Right.
I basically lived here.
Yeah. It was so great for me, too.
Most of February.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on call, baby.
I know.
So your mom texted me and said, I was texting my description of Riley's roommate Joan to someone, and she asked me to copy the text and send it to you for writing ideas / material. So here goes. Joan is 84. She has dementia, kidney disease, diarrhea, a horrible cough, and incontinence. Her memory lasts about 90 seconds.
Did I write this or my mom?
Awful. I'm sorry we're laughing. So
we were in the middle of, like, hellish situation. I'll explain more after this.
Yeah. And it gets better. So every couple of minutes she forgot where she was and started panicking. Oh.
Yeah, it was really sad.
She'd look around and figure out she was in the hospital and then be furious that we strangers were in her room. Yeah. She hysterically yelled at both Riley and I. They caught her sneaking sips from a NyQuil bottle and taking some pills.
Yeah.
The hospital eventually gave her a full-time babysitter. She also had to go to the bathroom every 10 minutes, and she wasn't stable walking, so they would tell her to go in the bed, and then they would change her. Yeah. She would refuse, and then forget, and then the cycle would continue.
Yeah.
Eventually, they got her a walker so she could walk 3 feet to the bathroom.
We're recording a podcast. We're actually, my dad just walked in. We're actually talking about Joan. Yeah. Do you want to tell us what you remember about Joan? Joan from the hospital.
Oh, Joan. I got something to say.
Go for it.
What are we going to talk about? I mean...
Just tell us what you remember about Joan. Yeah. We were introducing her.
Okay, well, Joan had some things to say. Joan wondered who you were.
Yeah.
And why you were there. About every 15 minutes.
Oh, it was more than that, I feel like, but yeah.
About every 15 minutes there was a question as to, who are you and what are you doing over there in my room?
And all we had was a curtain that went halfway across the room, so didn't really hide us or give us any privacy.
Are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, of course.
Well, she was talking about her private parts.
Oh, God, you don't have to say them. Please don't say it.
Well.
No, I'm really asking you not to say it.
All right, but she had lots of things that she was wondering about. And,
yes, she did.
And I was concerned about you over there in your bed, and I was really concerned also about Joan.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So I had to care about two things. Yes.
Yeah. The rest of the message says, eventually they got her a walker so she could walk the 3 feet to the bathroom, where she shit all over everything and then sat her naked ass on the babysitter's chair. Once they took the pills and NyQuil away, she got super combative and they threatened to call security. She said she was walking about and they couldn't stop her. Everyone seemed to have forgotten her legs didn't work. At one point she started screaming, "It hurts!" The babysitter asked where it hurt. Where it hurt. And she said, "From my ass to my cunt." Oh. Yeah. Once the NyQuil was gone, she was also yelling, "Bartender!" at the top of her lungs and ordering red wine. Then Pat, Riley, and the babysitter and I all joined in yelling "Bartender," which made Joan very happy. Somehow, Pat found out that she loved Elvis and started playing it on his iPhone, and she was transformed. She sang along and tapped her feet. We had had about 24 hours of this and found out you can pay for private rooms. So we did. Which is fucked up because the person who needed the private room was Joan.
Yeah.
The big hit was really Simon and Garfunkel in Central Park.
Because she was at that concert.
She may have been at that concert.
Well, allegedly she was at that concert.
She reported that she was at that concert. And so we sang probably 10 or 15 songs from Simon and Garfunkel in Central Park, which is a favorite of mine. So
really
we bonded. Joan and I bonded.
Yeah, and at that point, I was really grateful to get a private room.
Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That was horrible.
It's so funny to think all of that was happening and you guys are like, well, it's just what has to happen. And then someone's like, oh no, you could like pay for a private room if you want.
Hello? Exactly. You get it. Yeah, I mean, thankfully I was able to do that. And like you get really good treatment up there too. So it was, that's a whole nother like story about the fucked up shit about the medical system.
Yeah. So that was light, and by light I mean incredibly upsetting, but
I know I kind of like it's like I wish I like part of me is like let's just keep talking about Joan because then it gets real, then it gets crazy. So yeah, so I'm with Joan all day Thursday. I go to bed with Joan on Wednesday across the across the room with her. Where there was one point she came over to my bedside. I'm sitting there like, really unfortunate that they found a bed for me, but it's with another girl, with another lady who clearly is upset. She came over to me asking me all my business, and then I found out very quickly that she forgot it right away. And that's when that got crazy. Then I'm like, oh my God, please get me into surgery now. Please put me under immediately. Still, they were like, there's other people ahead of you. Then they came.
There's a line, sweetie.
Yeah. So then I get my private room. One of the things before my surgery was they gave me consents to fill out. One was that, obviously, like, there's a consent, but you sign, like, if I die, my bad. Of course. You know, that's on me. That's on me. The cooler one that I signed was they said, so there's that normal consent. Then we also, they're like, I'm not joking when I say this. There is a very small chance of you catching on fire in the surgery. So in those circumstances, can you sign this consent?
Oh my God.
And I was like, well, sure,
yeah.
Dude.
I mean, what is really your option at that point?
No, I've been like asking them to take this out of me for days, and I've been trying to be put under.
Yeah, and they're like, just wait, and then
they were like, it's an emergency. You should be so concerned you have lymphoma right now. And then they were like,
okay, finally we're ready, but also just so you know, we're using lasers and you're gonna be set on fire.
Yeah.
Aww.
Awesome, so great, so great, cool. So they do this first surgery. It's minimally invasive, like whatever. I wake up, they're like, all you got to do now is wait for those test results to come back. It was a biopsy. And we'll see from there. Friday night I go home to my apartment, my 1-bedroom apartment where my parents are both sleeping as well.
Love.
We are sitting there like waiting for test results.
Right, like what do you do?
I mean, I can tell you what I did. I did a lot of Sudoku.
Yep.
British Bake Off, Mindy Project.
That's like that
Mario Kart.
That like hypothetical semi-joke thing where it's like, hey, your fiance gets kidnapped in a foreign country. You stay out till 2 a.m. searching with authorities, but eventually you have to call it and return to your hotel. Do you still do your skincare routine, yes or no?
Oh my God.
Like, you know.
No, yeah, what do you do?
What do you do? Do you do your skincare?
That was basically from February until April, that was my vibe.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Good times.
We are being giggly.
No, it's...
But...
We haven't even gotten to, like, it's crazy.
I mean, it's devastating, and we have both cried about it a lot. You, obviously, much more than me.
Maybe.
I don't know. I was also crying a lot, so...
And there were some points where I was just like, what is the point? Like...
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Yeah. So...
You go home.
I'm waiting. Like, I am told it's gonna be like 3 days, right? So I'm like, 30 days goes by. And I know that usually the weekend doesn't count, but I want it to.
Yep.
I really wanted it to. So I, like, on whatever, whenever the 3-day mark came, I was Monday, like, any Tuesday. Updates?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, not yet. Be patient. shut up.
Shut up.
So then I think I called every day until I got the results. Basically, my surgeon was like, so far the results have come back inconclusive, so we're waiting to see the rest. Like, they were taking a biopsy and then seeing if the culture grew.
Sure.
So, like, whatever.
And at this point, they're still just kind of on the theory of lymphoma.
Yeah, they're doing this biopsy hoping to cancel out cancer.
Okay.
Or see if it is. Like, see what it's made out of. Oh my god, yeah. So I'm still waiting, vibing, you know. And by vibing, I do mean losing my mind. My mom and I sitting there like, what do we do? So...
You're not in school?
I was in school.
Oh.
Still at this point, I was in school.
Wow.
I was going to classes, like...
half-assed, kind of.
Being like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, why am I here? Like, right. I really was not happy with it, but I was also like...
I gotta keep up.
In case all this comes out and it's just like, oh, you had a cough.
You're right.
Then I didn't want to, like, stop school.
Yeah, of course.
I wanted to finish the degree in 2 years if I could, so... And my professors were all like, do what you need to do, and still, like, you gotta come to class to get the grades.
Yeah.
So that was tough. But at that point, I was still in school. Then we're doing enough waiting. The surgeon, basically because I begged, was like, okay, there's no cancer. We were like... he, like, acted like I was asking the world of him.
Being a nuisance?
Yeah. And
fine.
It was probably like a week and a half later.
Damn.
Of waiting after being told 3 days. So I'm like, that's really shitty. I mean, it was just like that whole week was exhausting, and that wasn't even the worst. Like,
yeah,
that was.
And it's hard when you know it's not necessarily one or two people's fault. It's like bureaucratic, like.
Oh yeah, lab result. It's everything.
It's the system in general.
Yeah.
And there's not really fault. It's just.
Frustrating.
Still very frustrating.
Yeah. So I ended up, basically the surgeon was like, we're going to refer you to another surgeon and see what, like, now we take next steps, you know, further steps. So then I go see this other doctor for a consultation, and so the first surgery was a bronchoscopy, which means they go through your, like, mouth and your throat to get to your lungs. Mm-hmm. This next surgery was going to be a biopsy where they went into my lungs. So, like, I have incisions.
Like laparoscopic? Like...
Yeah, I have incisions along my back, and, like, yeah, it was a much more invasive surgery. Not funny, sorry, but when I woke up from the surgery, but we'll get to that. So I'm in this consultation. He's showing me this doctor was amazing. He was, like, walking us through every scenario, like, this is what I'm going to be looking for in the surgery. He, like, spent so much time answering our questions. It was really great. Basically what they thought it could be at this point, I've been a medical mystery. The doctors have been sharing my, like, test results, my scans, like, they've been showing them across the country. Like, every doctor that I was seeing was like, we have no idea what this is. Which I forgot to mention, I think, earlier on.
Yeah. That
this was the whole time. They were like,
So they said no cancer, and then they said, but we don't know
even
what
with
it
the
is.
cancer part, they were like, this isn't typically how it presents. So they thought it could be a complicated cancer. Mm-hmm. But they were like, we just have no idea. Like, we really don't, because it's not your blood. Like, all the things weren't matching. Yeah. So they were like, we still don't really know. And then when they were like, well, we don't think it's cancer, a biopsy can sometimes you need multiple biopsies to show those things.
Sure.
And basically they were like, there could be something called sarcoidosis, and there was just a lot of different things being thrown around. And then there was something so the mass is in my lung.
I'm so sorry, is this when he said the famous line?
Yeah, I'll make sure, we get to that moment. But so between my first scan and when I went to the ER, 2 weeks later we did another scan, a bigger one. The first one was a CT, and the next one was a PET scan. So it was a full body scan. So in the span of those two different things, there are different imaging. So it could be that, like, the CT didn't catch all the things that the PET scan did, but what they believed was that 12 new nodules had grown in my lungs.
Right. I remember
So
that.
like in the span of 2 weeks, this was progressive, like getting progressively worse, like
in a
crazy way.
Yeah.
Did I ever finish the loop of close friend story? I stopped posting on my close friend story, obviously, when...
Like, I think as soon as you were, like, admitted.
Yeah, I was like, okay, never mind. I, like, took a lot of people off there and was like...
No, and that's when I texted you for the first time, being like, hey, you were, like, kind of posting about you being in the hospital, and then you stopped?
Yeah.
What's
Which,
up?
sorry, this is my brain, like, not being able to keep track of a story, but...
No, I mean, it's also a crazy, long, complicated thing that happened to you a year ago, so 2 years ago.
Who knows? Who knows when it happened?
Who knows?
Yeah, but anyway, so back to...
Between the PET and the
12
CT,
new nodules had grown.
But was that... I don't think I even know. Was that confirmed that it was 12 new, or was it that...
There's no way to know.
They were there and they just didn't see them at first?
There's no way to know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, not interesting, devastating. But
I know, but fascinating.
Fascinating in that... Because then it didn't... Because then I remember they were scanning you a bunch more. They would wait and scan you again to see if it got worse
changed.
again. And it didn't.
It did, and then it didn't.
Right.
Yeah. So... Yeah, basically they were like, you got nodules on both sides of your lungs, but the right was a lot healthier than the left. The left was like, there's a lot going on there, and your airway's constricted, and it's concerning. It was growing in my mediastinum, which is like close to your heart, and you know, the important organs.
Yeah.
So they said it could be cancer, could be this, could be that, right? One of the things that the doctor said, it's this very rare complication from a exposure to a fungal infection called histoplasmosis, is this diagnosis called fibrosing mediastinitis. And basically they gave us the explanation of it happens when you're exposed to this fungal infection and your immune system like overdoes it and starts attacking itself. And it presents really weirdly. It's a super rare disease, so like there's not a lot of understanding of how to diagnose it, how to treat it. There is no treatment. I mean, there's chemo, basically, but there's no treatment. And there's no cure. It's fatal.
Yeah.
It's fatal, pretty much guaranteed. And basically what fibrosing mediastinitis does is there are nodules, which just is like a mass, and they calcify, so they become hardened, and then they slowly basically take over your mediastinum, which is your heart, and then you die. Awesome. So when my doctor was telling me about this situation, you want to say it? It's your favorite line.
Which is something I've really fixated on. Something I bring up often, in maybe a way that I should be a little bit.
No, it's fine when it comes from you.
Okay, good. But you know, to tell me to shut the fuck up if I need to. But
yeah, of course.
This doctor looked you in the eyes and said sometimes there are things that are worse than cancer. Which
humbled me real quick.
It's just like, that is something a doctor says in like a soap opera. Like that is like the like dun dun like.
Yeah, no, every person I've talked to was like, they shouldn't say that.
They shouldn't.
He shouldn't have said that to you.
I mean, he was.
My therapist is
so
like
real,
pissed that he said that because no, it's accurate.
Yeah.
And
terrifying and fear mongering.
Like it was. Yeah, my therapist is like, I hate that he said that to you because now you can't live. Like you can't forget that.
No.
You'll never forget that when you're told that.
No.
So basically, that was awesome. Loved that.
And yeah, do I every once in a while drop a little knowledge on Riley, like when we're talking about something and then I go ahead and that's something disappointing and I go ahead and say, well, Riley, sometimes there are things worse than cancer.
It's hilarious.
It's really unacceptable.
No, it's awesome.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
Anyway.
I'm glad I'm here to talk about it, so
oh my God,
and laugh about it. I mean, at that point, I really was laughing at everything.
If you had died, I'd probably still be making the jokes.
I would hope that you would.
Yeah.
Well, I've learned a lot about life and death since then too.
Yeah, in many ways.
Yeah, that I think laughing is really like what they're the option.
The option.
Yeah, for me that I like. Yeah. So anyway, I basically got this surgery again. It's more invasive. Okay. I'm gonna be like, I'm realizing how long the story is.
It's fascinating though.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
Don't
Just
censor yourself for even
there's
a second.
so many parts of it that like you could go on forever about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actively still learning things as you're telling me.
That's
right now.
crazy.
Even though it's been years, we've been over it a lot.
You've heard it a lot.
Not in a bad way, in a way where I keep asking you to tell me more and more and more.
Yeah.
You know.
That makes me feel better because I feel like sometimes that's like the
girl, not even close.
Yeah.
You could be like, you could have like been like, I'm gonna drop everything I'm doing and be a motivational speaker and go around to like high schools and tell kids about this, and I'd be like, yep, justified. And instead you like bring it up once every like 3 months, being like, hey, also this thing, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is something that like I live every day thinking about and feeling, so it's weird to me that I just like bounced back to normal and I still, whatever.
Like literally, I think like 2 weeks ago, I walked up to you at a party and I was like, hey.
Oh yeah.
I was like, hey, I feel like I haven't asked you like what is going on. Like, where do you stand right now? And then I can't remember who.
Who was it?
Jake.
Yeah, and I was like,
Jake walked up.
yeah.
And was like, hey, ladies. And I was like, I literally just asked my friend if she's okay or if she's dying. So could you actually like walk away for a minute?
No, and he didn't.
And he didn't.
And we just changed the subject.
And
for
we
him.
just changed the subject, and that's okay.
Shout out.
Maybe I shouldn't have asked that at a bar.
I just going away party.
Just going away party, yeah.
Okay, really selfish of him to show up
fine.
and want to talk to his friend.
But it's just like, Jake, sometimes there are things worse than cancer.
Jake, sometimes there are things worse than cancer, and you wouldn't understand.
We gotta talk about them in the bar.
Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry. But
yeah. So he told me some things are worse than cancer. Then my mom and I got the surgery. Well, leading up to the surgery, my mom and I are like, please be cancer, please be cancer, please be cancer.
Oh my god.
Because we knew there was at least a treatment. Like, so
yeah.
That was awesome. Never in my life did I think that was going to be what I was hopeful for.
Yeah.
But only when you know the lows of the lows is when you think that cancer is the good option.
It's so crazy. Also, can I tell you, you're making it much more clear to me now. In a way, I did commit this moment to memory as him. You're on the operating table. He puts the like anesthesia on you, and then he looks you in the eyes and goes, "Sometimes there are things worse than cancer." And then you close your eyes and you go to surgery.
Yeah. Instead of Derek Shepard being like, "It's a great day to save lives," he's like, "There's some things worse than cancer. Bye.
Bye.
Good luck out there.
Have a good nap."
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
Hopefully you won't catch on fire.
Yeah.
God, these things are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so scary.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I woke up from that surgery, okay, to be honest, I was expecting to wake up in the room we paid for, the private room we paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in a private room.
Yeah, incredibly private room.
Because they quarantined my ass because they thought I had tuberculosis, bitch.
TB, baby. That's so vintage of you.
I woke up and was like, where am I?
You were like Bubble Boy. Like
100%.
locked down.
My legs were strapped down to the table because they were being like, pumping
God.
they were like, I don't know what they were doing. This sounds
like,
crazy.
Actually, like when people like have like irrational medical like fear of doctors, they imagine this scenario that you actually woke up in.
Yeah, and shout out, because then I became that real quick.
Well, yeah, I mean, justifiably.
I know. It was a trauma response, but I woke up with that. I had a catheter in, was like, what's up there? Never want that for anybody.
No.
I had a chest tube in, so I looked down to my side and I was like, that's there.
That's both in and out of my body.
And I can see things coming out of it.
Like that's both in and out of my body at the same time. So I want to look you in the eyes. I'm so sorry.
This is why
genuinely should not have said that.
No, I fully believe that I don't know who else could have been my friend during this time, because I could not have had somebody. I mean, I had lots of friends during this time, but what I mean is, like, I could come to you and say the most outrageous shit, and you'd be like, 100%, babe. Like, you were able to match my energy where I was completely in delusional land, also depressed, but like, what am I going to do about it? But not like, I'm going to joke about it. This is my time to shine, to make all the jokes. Like, I have, so
no,
you matched my energy there, and I was very grateful for that.
Well, I'm glad that's how it worked, but, you know, like, the concept of, like, jester's privilege, where it's like...
No. No.
It's... Okay,
hello?
The idea is that, like...
We don't talk about that in school.
Yeah, no, that's more of a theater kid thing, I guess. The jester in the royal court, like, gets to make fun of the king, even though no one else does.
Right.
But it's the jester's privilege, because it's like...
Okay.
And sometimes I think that...
How do you earn that privilege?
The jesters are like... Sorry, sidebar. Jesters and... Like,
I asked for a reason.
and clowns and, like, things like that, especially, like, in this, like, when you think about, like, Shakespearean times, like, they're a very respected member of court. It is, like, a job. Like, that is, like, their entertainment
to, like, bring
that they drag around.
To, like, bring the light?
Yes. To be the entertainment. It's, like, the same as being a bard. The people that, like, have, like, the guitars and sing, you know?
Wow.
Like, so then... And it's, like... A lot of times they're like...
What happened to society?
Right. They become a close confidant, too. Like, they become, like, a sounding board. Because they're not, like, the king's council that are, like, trying to be rational and, like, government. They're, like, they'll, like, do whatever and, like, just agree with they're just kind of like a sidekick, in a way.
Yeah.
So then they earn these privileges of, like...
Being all
poking fun and making jokes that they probably shouldn't make, you know, like... They get away with these things, and it's really a fascinating dynamic. However, I'm not saying that that's what's going on here, where I, like...
Oh, you were my jester?
Well, not... But just the I mean, yeah.
And I was
you're my queen, babe.
Yeah.
But the idea of, like, because you're, like, close to a situation or someone trusts you, you're sort of allowed to make light and make jokes.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think I agree. I think it's normal. I think it's right. I love it when people do it with me too.
Yeah.
It makes me feel comfortable. It makes it's very healing, but it is a risky thing to do because there are lines and you just might not know where they are.
Do you think I have a problem with telling people when they've crossed my lines?
No, of course not.
Just like as a reminder.
Yeah.
I usually am pretty vocal about like shut the fuck up. If
and I would expect that 100% from you, and I don't worry about it that much. I just also have like the compulsion to check in a lot.
Of course.
In a way that's like just kind of lending the opportunity in case someone
I think it is a good check to do with your friends and be like,
yeah,
this is wrong. Like, I know this is wrong.
Yeah.
And I know we've normalized it.
Yeah.
Are you still cool with it?
Is it still okay?
Temp check.
And like you said about like, this might have been in our previous recording, but it's like how much you're willing to tolerate can change day by day. Like how you wake up, how you're feeling. And I think that I'm relatively good, especially with someone like you who is like one of my best friends.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty good at picking up on that.
Yeah.
And knowing when is the time to not do those things. And
I would agree.
I think right now, obviously, we're making a little bit light of it and having fun with it. Yeah. But again, big old sidebar just to say it is very serious.
Oh, yeah.
And upsetting.
It was...
And hard.
Turns out one of my friends actually does have tuberculosis. Shout out Carly.
Oh my god, Carly, are you okay?
She's okay.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Fun fact, has a new fun fact unlocked for her.
Yeah.
Anytime she's
I was like,
I had tuberculosis.
Yeah, no.
That is crazy.
Let's get Carly on the pod.
Okay, but your legs were strapped down. You had a tube
catheter, chest tube
in your vagina, tube in your boobies.
Yeah.
You were completely alone.
I was completely alone. There was a little like a button on my IV where I got to not prescribe myself. Administer fentanyl every 8 minutes.
Oh my god.
The way I became addicted to fentanyl for the next day.
Oh god.
And as soon as they cut me off of it, I
that?
immediately had both physical and emotional withdrawal symptoms.
Oh my god.
Which really makes you think about everything.
And also it's like, and now this, I guess.
No, I know. I mean, like, I just, because what else was I going to do when so during the surgery, my lungs had collapsed because that's what happens. So your lungs are basically trying to get back to your lungs being able to like work on their own again.
Yeah.
And mine felt like, I mean, there's no other way to describe it by being like, when people say like, I felt like I got hit by a truck, that's exactly, I think that whenever I felt that before, wrong. No, wrong. So anyway, I woke up, they were like, we think you have tuberculosis, LOL. And then they were like they were doing the biopsies still, just like trying to figure it out. But they were like, it didn't look like cancer. So they were like, we're still pretty confident it's not cancer, which did make us worried because
the other option was
worse than cancer. So they came in and they asked me, like, I had infectious disease in there, being like, trying to figure out if I had tuberculosis. I didn't.
It seems like it should be kind of easy to figure out.
I know, it was like, well, it's because the way it was appearing physically in my lungs looked like how TB looks.
Yeah.
So it was weird.
But none of the other.
No, but I was testing negative for TB over and over.
I mean,
like,
it was.
I didn't have TB.
Pin the tail on the donkey. So
yeah.
Pin the diagnosis on this girl Riley.
Right.
We're trying our best here.
Yeah. And so they were asking me where had I traveled, all these things. They were asking me about working conditions. Like, had I worked in anywhere with chemicals or like, like with soil? I was like, well, yeah, done that.
Yeah.
Which we have to talk about the bell that they gave me.
Oh my god! That was so fun.
I FaceTimed Tally to show her what my situation... Because every time somebody came into my room, whether it be a nurse or a doctor or my mom...
Hazmat.
They had to wear a full hazmat suit.
Yup.
And
which is scary.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It's like used as a scary thing in like movies and television.
Yeah, I was like, I am in
suits.
E.T.
Yeah, exactly.
I am E.T.
Are E.T.
Yeah. And I had this little, like, truly dinner bell, like a little ring-a-ling dinner bell to call my nurse in.
Which is like, they actually have the technology.
They have buttons for that. So when they took me off the fentanyl, well, first of all, I also needed, once they took the catheter out, I needed my nurse to help me pee.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Kind of Joan of you.
So
you kind of became Joan in the end.
In the end, yeah, I did. Rest in peace.
Fentanyl.
Again, rest in peace.
Using your bell to call the bartender.
Bartender. No, I rang. Well, okay. This nurse, like, love her. Shout out. No, not all. It was not fun for me.
No.
I think the worst part of it, like the worst scenario I found myself in, was I was off the fentanyl and I knew I was going to throw up.
Yeah.
That was part of that was one of the symptoms.
Yeah.
And I like knew I was going to, and I had to ring. First of all, where the fuck is the bell? Found the bell. Found the bell. Ringing the bell. She's not hearing it because I'm enclosed with 4 doors and it's a little fucking bell. I'm ringing the bell, ringing it, being like also nauseous, like what's going on? I watch her outside because there's windows to the outside. Yeah. I watch her slowly but surely get dressed up to get in there.
Yeah.
By that point, I'm already throwing up in anything available. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
On yourself, on the bed.
Mm-hmm. So that was a little bit about what it was like to like ask for help in that hospital.
In that moment when you didn't have TB.
Didn't have TB. No, I was like, where the hell is the fancy room? What the fuck?
What the fuck?
This was not the private room we were talking about.
God.
Yeah. No.
That is so fucking scary.
Yeah. No. So I just stayed there until they proved I didn't have TB.
Which is...
So I didn't give tuberculosis to everybody in New York.
Yeah. What is it? TB Mary?
Tuberculosis Mary, yeah, that's her.
Wait, who was it?
I don't know her.
No, the woman?
I know of her. I don't know her story, though.
But I don't think it's TB Mary.
I think it is Tuberculosis Mary.
No way.
TB Mary? Hey, Siri. Who is Tuberculosis Mary?
Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary.
Tuberculosis is a bacterium that causes tuberculosis.
Okay, well. Typhoid Mary, fine.
Typhoid Mary.
Fine.
TB Mary.
Sorry to her. Who is Typhoid Mary?
You're the new Typhoid Mary. You're TB Mary.
Okay, right.
You're hitting the streets.
Are we worried about her? Do we care?
It was like 100 years ago.
Okay.
Enough
about her.
She just like knowingly infected a lot of people with typhoid fever.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, I was knowingly
you don't
not doing that.
You don't know anything about Typhoid Mary?
I just told you I don't know her story.
Okay. Well, she died
of typhoid
on my birthday.
Oh God.
But like 60 years before I was born.
Okay.
So that's fine.
That's awesome.
But you could have been her, in a way. But they put you in this damn room. The thing I was gonna say, sorry, that was all stupid. But the thing I was gonna say is that I've been put under like twice in my life, and both times they brought me back like in the OR where I had been put under. Like
that doesn't make sense. Why did they do that?
No, that was good for me. Like wake me up where I fell asleep.
Sure.
To me, that's like
you sat up straight in that bed though.
Yo,
Tally had this experience when she got surgery, and as soon as they like took off the anesthesia
turned it down,
or whatever,
like she said, she turned it
she
down.
sat straight up in bed. She sat from fully dead asleep to 90-degree angle
Literally
in bed.
The first successful sit up I've ever done.
Stop.
No, she said she turned it down a notch, and I shot straight up.
That's crazy.
Which is so scary.
That's crazy.
To think that there was one notch between me being completely dead
out of it
and upright and,
so
and
horrifying.
ready to drive a car.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I personally really appreciate the fact that they put me to sleep and wake me up in the exact same room, and then they transfer me to the other room. Because the idea that I get moved, like when I was like a kid and you'd fall asleep in the car and then you'd wake up in your room because your parents carried you in.
Horrifying.
Like,
yeah.
I get that other kids thought that was really sweet and that's a cute memory for me.
Who reflects on that and thinks positively about it?
Are you fucking kidding?
Well, I just mean like, is this something that people like are like, oh, I'm so happy my parents when I was little brought me to bed?
Yes.
You're actively thinking about that?
Yes, people think that. People are like, I can't believe I'll never fall asleep in the car and be carried back to my room ever again. The general masses. Babe, we have anxiety. Anyway.
That's the problem people are worried about these days? I'm like, that hasn't occurred to me since I was 7.
I mean, it's just like
there were times that I would fake being asleep so my parents would take me, though.
Just the idea of waking up where you didn't
fall asleep, right. Back to
fucking terrifying. And in those exact parameters, even more terrifying, if you can believe.
Yeah.
And
I was ready to wake up. I was ready to wake up looking at the skyline, and bitch, I was here looking like Typhoid Mary.
Looking like Typhoid Mary.
Typhoid Mary. So anyway, didn't have TB. Went home. Still, they took a biopsy. They were still like, we still don't know what that shit is. Then they basically were like, so recap. My lungs both collapsed. They sent me away, and they're like,
sent you
to wait.
The loony bin.
They just said, just wait.
And you were starting to say that you.
Oh, Maggie.
Started to piece things together because you were talking to Maggie.
Okay, right. So backtrack. I had been talking to Maggie, FaceTiming her, being like, this is the update. Maggie's dad is a pulmonologist, a lung doctor in Indiana. Wow. Really helpful. Because honestly, I was like, I'm not getting answers from the people here. Yeah. How can I be so direct and ask you questions that they don't want to answer? Or I don't know.
It's like wanting to request office hours with your doctor.
100%.
And they don't have that, actually.
How can I do it without paying and get medical advice from my friend's dad? So he was the first person that was like, it could be histoplasmosis.
Okay.
Because this is something, he's in Indiana. Smart alert. Shout out.
Ding, 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 ding. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, he was right.
Yeah.
Because he's from Indiana, which is the region that histoplasmosis is often there, and he sees this a lot. He sees histoplasmosis a lot, which is also a rare thing.
It's not great.
No, it's rare, but it's still he's seen more minor situations of it, and
it becomes less of a medical mystery when
you're able to
in
piece
New York where it never happens,
right.
But you're talking to someone in
the
Indiana
Midwest
who has seen it.
Yeah. And works on it every day.
In the Midwest where you are actively from and worked.
Got it.
Yeah.
most likely allegedly got it.
Yeah.
In case they come running here getting mad at me.
To my really,
They have
really...
nothing. They really have nothing. Like, try me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
We're not going to say the words, but let's just say that Riley worked at a summer camp where
I got sick.
she was exposed to things unsafely. That led to this.
Which weren't knowingly. Like, knowingly
No.
that didn't happen. The problem became when I told them.
And also, I'm going to go as far as to say knowingly the correct safety precautions were never given to you or told.
I mean, they didn't know. They didn't care.
Yeah, but just because they didn't know doesn't mean they weren't responsible for those safety measures.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say that, but yeah,
I'll go ahead and
you
say
can.
that on my super famous podcast that they're all going to listen to.
I know. They really
No,
are.
but I say that as someone not involved. That's my public opinion, and I am just nothing but a girl. The people actually involved have no comment. Thank you.
Yeah. No, really. I mean, so basically Maggie had remembered this time that I had been exposed to cleaning out like an air vent in a cabin at this camp.
Mm-hmm.
And a camp that I literally gave my blood, sweat, and tears and soul and
Many
life
years of your life, too.
So there's a lot of stuff with that to unpack, but we're not going to do that all today, or probably ever.
Yeah. It's not necessarily a blame game. It's about
No, it's just it's
like
like
accountability and responsibility.
Yeah.
That's where the problems lie, but that's not for this podcast,
yeah,
obviously.
and it's honestly just like too emotionally sad.
Yeah.
The rest of this super fun and
Obviously so fun and
but
and
this part is like
lighthearted.
I just like that. It's like takes the doctor can be mean to me, but like
Yeah.
people that I grew up with, that's hard.
It's hard when we're talking about like facts and things like sickness, and then this is like the
How it
complete
impacts.
emotional side of it.
Totally.
So
Yeah,
it's just not for
not for
this.
now.
Not
Yeah.
for now.
But Maggie was basically like, I think this, like, we kind of, like, in the middle of it, while I was with the infectious disease doc, was like this, because it's probably histoplasmosis.
Yeah.
And which is the thing that could lead to the complication of fibrosing mediastinitis. That
Right.
thing, worse than cancer.
That thing that's worse than cancer.
So we got through the whole, they took biopsies from that surgery. They did this whole invasive surgery to find no results, inconclusive results from that biopsy.
Awesome.
So then they said, okay, the next thing we're going to, so I had not been like confirmed with histoplasmosis at this point, but it was something that we like now had that in the back of our mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I go home, they're basically like, we're going to send you to a rheumatologist. So somebody who studies the immune system.
Yeah.
We're going to refer you outpatient there. It's March at this point.
Yeah.
They said, our next available appointment is in June. And I was like,
Awesome.
that's really funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. No. Like,
No.
how long have we waited? Like, no,
Yeah.
this is just,
And you are still in a semi-understanding of it could be potentially getting worse every single day.
that's my, at that point, of course I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was not
It
confirmed
was still-
or denied if that was true or not.
In hindsight, it's so different to look at. In the middle of it, I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Nobody seems to care, and everyone seems to say it's emergent.
Yeah.
Like, why do I feel like I'm supposed to be panicking and everyone else is telling me I should, and no one's doing anything?
But panic for like 3 to 5 business days for us, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so when they told us that rheumatology appointment, we were like, we're going to Mayo or Cleveland Clinic,
Yeah.
which would just be a more intense, like, evaluation. I got into both.
Yeah.
And I went to Cleveland
You
Clinic.
got it!
I got in! They approved me for both of them. I got into Cleveland Clinic and sooner, so we went there. I'm kind of wishing I'd gone to Mayo, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, it's just because who wants to go to Ohio?
100%. So, of all the doctors I've seen in New York, medical mystery, I get one blood test. In Cleveland, they say it's histoplasmosis.
Oh!
Are you joking?
My
Are you
God.
joking me? Why'd you do 2 surgeries? Collapse my lungs in the process. Call me Typhoid Mary.
Yeah.
Just to be like, oh my God, it was one simple test.
Yeah.
So, test positive histoplasmosis. Cool. They say, I got a piece of paper. Like, I met with the doctors there. They said, most likely you have fibrosing mediastinitis.
Oof.
My mom and I heard that, and we were really like, well, okay, I guess that's it.
I'm dying.
Yep. They said, well, they were like, we want to see you back in like 2 to 3 months. Or I don't know. Time, I don't know. I think it was
a month because you said, what am I going to do now that I know I'm dying? I'm heading straight for Palm Beach for a month. And I said, nothing but respect.
Yeah. Yeah. And I dropped out of school at this point.
Yeah.
But that's like not even important. So I had this slip of paper to document the words most likely fibrosing mediastinitis. And like they basically said, we'll see you back in 1 to 2 months for a follow-up. We'll do another scan and then we'll talk about options.
And just as a quick recap reminder, just to make sure that everyone's understanding, fibrosing mediastinitis is the thing that the doctor referred to as being worse than cancer. And being a death sentence.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, So, like, I, with my own 2 eyes, my own 2 ears, heard and saw most likely fibrosing mediastinitis and was like, well, what do I do now? And they said, we'll see. Yeah, they were like, we'll see you again. We'll start talking about the options that are like chemo, basically. Which, I mean, like, I remember this. They told me it.
No, I remember you telling me, you were like, basically, the only thing they can do, which isn't a cure, is putting me on chemo every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it was like, we can slow the rate of that.
By putting you on chemo every single day. Which is, like, chemo is famously a thing that people do in little bursts and then heal from for a while and then do it again. And it was like, no, I'll probably just, like, do it every single day.
I'll, like, die from chemo before I die from this thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had just, at this point, like, been at my aunt's side during her chemo, and, so there's just, awesome. And Robin's good now too, so we're good there. But it was brutal. And I, like, my mom and I were like, so I guess we have to go to Palm Beach, where her aunt lives and has a cottage, so we could stay there. Like, it was like it's a block from the beach. We stay there for free, and we're gonna do that.
Yeah, it's nice and warm.
Yeah,
it was like still springtime and awful.
Yeah,
in Chicago.
It was really, like, I mean, perfect. No, because I was crying every day, being like the thoughts that were going through my head. I was like, no one should ever have to feel these things, think these things. I mean, my therapist and I started planning my funeral. Like, I started, like, literally, like, writing my death wishes. Yeah, positive and negative. I took a lot of things out of my friends. Like, I was just angry I was angry at everything.
Definitely.
I was, like a shell of myself, and, like, trying to avoid it. And also, like, what do you do? Knowing, like, if you could know that there's a limited amount of time left, like, I was like, I'm gonna stop doing school. I'm gonna, like, what do I do with this time? Now I understand how valuable it is, and how can I make the most of the last part of what my story is? Because at this point in my, like, it's weird to talk about in hindsight, because at that point it was so
set in stone. It was
set in stone.
True to you. Yeah.
And I mean, my mom was like, we were like, Palm Beach is like this really, like, fancy area, and we would go window shopping, and my mom's like, can I buy you anything? And I was like, no, girl, like, I don't, like, what would I, like, we were walking through, the most excited thing, like, what we were doing as a hobby was looking at silk scarves for when I was going through chemo, to get fancy silk scarves. Like, we were, like, going to Hermes and being like, that one would be cute. Like, that was our hobby, was finding fancy silk scarves that I would tie around my head.
Yeah.
That was the, like, dream we were living. That was the hope we had.
No,
was to look cute in chemo.
And at no point in that were you expecting a reality like the one you have, which is the potential of not, or like getting past this.
Yes.
You know,
there was nothing.
There was no indication that was possible.
I was planning for how do I, like, what is this chemo? How am I going to be impacted by the drugs? What is this going to mean?
How long will it,
Like, how many years do I have left? It was my mom and I reading about this rare disease. Yeah. So, horrible time. I couldn't drink. I mean, I could drink, but I couldn't because it was causing too much chest pain. Also during all this time, I'm still recovering from surgery and, like, struggling to, like, walking a block was a lot for me. So, which, coming from being the most, like, healthy version of myself,
D1 athlete,
to feeling so debilitated was it still is, like, right now, like, that makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
Because I feel so different than, I mean, I'm, like, physically a different person, emotionally a different person, but, like, I just, like, not only do I not recognize myself, like, I don't feel, like, I feel like I'm in a different body than I was, and I am.
And you are. Yeah.
And I am, and I don't think, it's just, again, like, another lonely, like, sad experience of all this.
That is a grief.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of grieving during this time too, and, like, accepting
in, like,
death.
the most literal and metaphorical ways.
100%. Like, oh yeah. I was also, like, totally isolating myself in the way that, like, I couldn't talk to my friends. I couldn't talk to people. I was so angry, so sad, so, like, I'm not helping anyone else through this because I'm not even capable of helping myself. Like,
and also, I mean, how can you even tap into anybody else's real life in that moment? How can you witness that?
I couldn't.
You can't.
I couldn't. I was. Yeah. It was.
No, you went dark.
Yeah.
On me for a while, not in a bad way, not in a blaming way, in a way where I was like, oh, like, this is really real.
Yeah.
And there were some, like, things I hadn't necessarily gotten full confirmation on that like felt very confirmed by the fact that
I was quiet.
You were quiet.
Yeah.
Which is so ooh.
Yeah.
You said you weren't gonna cry.
I know, but it's hard to hear I talk about this with my mom, but she's really, like, the one person I know who, like, knows exactly what happened, and she was
there every step.
She was the only person who, like, hasn't gaslit me. Not the only person, but like, she has no ability to, because we went through that together.
Yeah.
She's the one person who went through every part of that with me.
And I think in a real way it maybe hasn't even really been appropriate until now, to talk about how it impacted of other people from this. Yeah. But I mean, we have lightly and slowly talked about it. Yeah. Since, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, but, so I was grieving everything. I was really angry and really sad, and
I can't
honestly
even
just heartbroken.
Imagine the sort of, like, anger.
I mean, I was, like, in one of my favorite places in the world, like, on the beach, sitting with my mom. Like, normally this is a situation I'm really excited to be in, and, like, and I was grateful, and I was also like, is this the last time I'm gonna be here? Like, is this the last time I'm gonna have, like, this favorite thing I have from my childhood? And, like, there were a lot of those moments, and I mean, my mom and I were, like, we weren't on a bender, but we, like, it felt like that. The two of us were just, like, in our own world. Window shopping and, like, just trying to live as best of a life as we could, like, in that circumstance. But, I mean, my mom was
kind of the most fucked up vacation
it was
in the world.
But I would so much rather be there than when I didn't have to run into people in Evanston and be like, why aren't you in New York?
Yeah.
Or what's going on with your health? Like, I didn't have to see anybody else struggling. I was, like, by myself, and I needed to be. And I, like, also was coaching water polo at the time, totally lied to all the athletes on my team. And was like, I'm just going on vacation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was, it was great. Now gets the awesome part.
Wait, guys, it's actually about to get awesome.
It's about to get awesome. I go back to Cleveland Clinic for my follow-up. Like, with the paper in hand that says most likely for fibrosing meniscus. I get there, I do the scan. I'm sitting there, like, literally waiting to find out, like, what are we going to do? Like, what's the next steps? This doctor looks at me in my eyes and says, I think you're good.
Oh, see, what's crazy is I mean, I guess I don't, and I would love for you to go ahead and talk about how you felt in that moment. The way I would be murderous.
Yep.
I would be full of rage and murder. In a way that's, like, feels counterproductive, because it's, like, good news, but...
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
It hadn't been a scenario we'd imagined at all. Like, we prepared ourselves for a lot of different options. That was not one of them.
No.
And I felt like what did you say? Why did we have this conversation last time? Like, I think he had no memory of how he spoke to me before, because he's seen probably thousands of patients in that month.
Yeah.
And I was truly shell-shocked. Like, it was hard for me to watch my dad be happy.
Oof. Yeah.
Because I was also like, I'm not there yet. Like, it was whiplash that's the only word I can feel like I can say. Like, we drove home from Cleveland and I was pissed off. I was pissed the fuck off.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm allegedly supposed to be really happy about this, and I guess have a new lease on life, but what the hell? I was basically in fight or flight mode for months, and then being like, what? Like, gaslit and being like, why are you sad?
Yeah.
It was like, what are you why were you worried? And it was like,
why aren't you celebrating?
Excuse me, in what scenario? Why did the paper that I took home said most likely fibrosing meniscus? Didn't say anything else about maybe it's not.
But maybe it's not, yeah.
Most likely, to me, when I learned about those words, that was, like, very convincing.
That means yes.
That means yes, statistically likely. So I was very shell-shocked, and it took me a long time to believe that was true.
Yeah. Also, not to mention how much, like, you as a logical, reasonable person didn't want to look at the words most likely and take a little false hope out of that to, like,
oh God,
cling
it was
on
like,
to and make it even harder for you. You're trying to do the work to accept
what is most likely my reality.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't trying to jump to conclusions, but, like, what did I'd just been through months of this, of, like, we're trying to figure this out. That was one possible answer. I was clinging to any answer. I wanted anything that could make sense of what was going on, because I had been a mystery for so long.
Yeah.
So I was clinging to anything that could provide me with direction, with, like, I need an explanation, and I don't care what it is, I just want one.
Yeah. And by no means am I implying that you were specifically upset with certain doctors or certain practices. Like, it is the situation.
Yeah.
It is the idea that something like that could happen.
Yeah.
And then be taken back. You know?
Yep.
Like, that is not a situation people are put into.
No.
Like, normally, you know?
And, like, there was no treatment. Like, there was nothing happened but waiting.
Yeah.
So I was still in pain. I was still struggling. So I was like, I still do have chest pain to this day. Like, throughout this podcast, I've been, like, feeling it, and it's just something I've gotten used to.
Right. It's only when you're, like, thinking about it do you realize that you feel it constantly.
Yeah. Which is, like, cool. I got pain in the left side of my chest. That feels awesome.
Yeah.
So for a long time, I was, like, rushing back to the emergency room being like, I must be dying.
Yeah, there was that era. I remember that.
Where they definitely were flagging me in my chart. I'm sure in my chart it says
mentally ill.
She is crazy.
Send her home.
Like, give her this test so we can...
No, but I mean, God.
No, it was always, like, for the most part, I was validated when I got there. And I would tell them, like, I'd be like, straight up, like, I don't know what is delusion or what is me listening to my body. Yeah. The first time I listened to my body, I was right, and, like...
It was really, really
necessary.
bad for a while.
So, all the doctors were... And to be honest, I am popular when I go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Doctors are really interested in my case because it's so rare.
'Cause
They're
it's
like, how did you get
fascinating.
histoplasmosis?
Yeah.
How did you get a mass in your lung? Where were you that you get this? Like, it's
Yeah.
so rare.
So, just because I feel like we're maybe
Moving crazy ways.
no, just too quick
Yeah.
in our explanation, but you went back to Cleveland Clinic and they said, okay, it is not, we're pretty sure now that it's not fibrosing mediastinitis because it hasn't gotten worse, it hasn't done all these things. So it's just hiptoplasmosis, this fungal infection.
Right. Kind of. I mean, they were basically like, we don't have additional evidence to believe that it is fibrosing mediastinitis. You do have histoplasmosis, maybe this other one called blastomycosis.
Yeah. And
Bye.
Since then, you have gone to Cleveland Clinic
For
pretty
checkups.
consistently for checkups to make sure that it's been.
Yeah. I have another one in a couple weeks.
Yeah. But for the most part, it was.
Like, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. You have this fungal infection that people get sometimes.
Yep. So then I went and got an infectious disease doctor in Chicago because I moved from New York back to Chicago.
Of course.
Got a doctor. Asked them to put me on antifungals. They were like, we don't want to. I was like, you're gonna.
Yeah, please.
Like, that's literally what happened. And then I did get them. And then turns out one of my masses shrunk after I got the fungal infection. So you should get me an MD.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So all of that.
So I'm the smartest one in the room.
All of that fungal juice you were drinking was good.
It was horrible, but
It was horrible.
Good.
You were pooping crazy.
I was pooping crazy.
And I do remember that specifically.
Oh, God.
As your best friend, you were pooping crazy.
I never shit my pants.
I'm actually really proud of you.
Until then.
Oh. I thought you were saying you got through that without shitting
No,
your
my
pants.
whole life I went through without shitting my pants until then.
So, hey guys, don't recommend.
No, I don't recommend itraconazole. Honestly, I think this cured a lot of my anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, it does take you to the edge and then take you back.
Like, I don't think things can hurt me. Nothing scares me.
Yeah.
Because I truly think being in fight or flight that whole time.
Used up all of the fire.
Yeah, I don't have any more of that. Like, I don't get over things quickly, but I'm more quick to acceptance than I've ever been in my whole life.
Well,
I'm so okay with the middle ground.
Yeah.
And the not knowing.
Yeah.
I was not okay. Like, there was, for those whole few months, which felt like years, I was not knowing what was going on and I wanted an answer.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to live without an answer. And then even when I got an answer, it, like, didn't make sense.
In the most insane exposure therapy that's ever existed.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
The
Stanford prison experiment of fatal illness.
Yeah. Yeah, so I, like, now, basically to this day, I have a mass in my lung. Or I guess multiple.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that they won't calcify more.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, based on the way that I understand the diagnosis to be, I'm pretty sure, technically, I have it.
But it's just like kind of being chill
Not
right
progressing.
now. Sure.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
And hey, it turns out the doctors don't know either.
They don't know shit, guys. The real secret of all this is that doctors are scammers. For real.
Don't.
I work at a hospital.
You don't mean that.
No, but they don't know everything. At the end of the day, they don't know everything, and like,
they're also just humans.
Yeah.
Which was like a big, in our previous recording of this episode, we just went on a long rant about how therapists are just humans at the end of the day, and that they're super trained and super smart and usually really reliable, but you always have to hold space for the fact that they are humans that are flawed. And the same is true about all doctors.
yeah.
And especially in these United States of ours, where all of our systems are so corrupt.
Yeah.
And especially the healthcare system.
Yeah.
And I think there were many ways in which you were failed. And it wasn't a personal thing. It wasn't blame on one person, but it was the result of an incredibly flawed system.
No, and I cannot imagine, like, with all the privilege that I had, like, my financial resources carried me through this in a way that, oh my God, if the decisions, like, there's so many things I'm grateful for moving out of it, well, in general, life, but like, this could have been a lot harder.
Yeah.
Like, which
is insane to think.
Which is
because
insane
of
to
how
think.
hard it was.
Which is insane to think. But so, I mean, like, at the end of the day, I guess, like, to me today in 2024, like, I'm basically chronically ill for the time being, probably the most of my life. I've done respiratory
PT
rehab, or pulmonary rehab at Shirley Ryan. Like, I've done all the treatment, and like, they're like, you're good. So it's kind of a question of like, is this my new normal? And this like chronic fatigue and chronic pain, and like always kind of wondering.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of what I've gained is like a new perspective that like I can't unsee anymore. And especially like after Eliza died, I think I understood. I learned a lot about grief.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about life and fragility and like what really matters. And like, don't wish to relive any of the things I did, and I also can't imagine what would I still be in New York? Like, I don't know. I don't like. There's so many.
There's actually no way to.
What would I be? Who would I be? I think I'm strong. I'm way stronger than I was before. I like know myself way better. I feel like there's nothing that can happen that I can't take on, which like, I was scared of everything before that. Now I feel like I'm not afraid of nobody.
I'm not afraid
to take a stance. Yeah, anyway. Everybody, come take my hand. Let's walk this road together through the storm. Wherever weather,
cold or warm.
Oh, is that the lyrics? Cold or warm? That's all we could get to?
Is that Eminem?
I was just thinking that. Is that Eminem?
Is that
really?
What we were singing?
Okay, I guess it was. So that's nice. Is that my story?
I think that might be your story. And I believe, because the recording is an hour and a half long, that we're going to have to leave it here. But I would love to, like, very soon come back and do a part 2 where we just kind of talk about
the life lessons.
The life lessons, where you've gone from it, what you've taken from it.
Yeah.
Like, and I know you just kind of said
hinted at some of it, yeah.
With the work you're doing now.
Yeah.
And how it shaped, like, your...
Yeah, I'm forever changed from all of this. Yeah.
And it just, like, it would be insane to expect anything else.
Yeah.
And, like, the grief process you've been through.
Whew.
And not just with that, but with plenty of other things that have happened since then.
Yeah.
You know, it is such a personal thing, but it's also, like, incredibly hard. Oh, no.
I'm not going to cry.
Incredibly hard.
But you can if you want.
Okay, no problem. It's just, like, one of those things that you watch someone do, and there's nothing... I mean, I can be supportive, I can be there for you, but it is a personal journey, and I can't take away the pain that I want to take away from you.
Yeah.
I just have to... I'm just there, you know?
I appreciate... Honestly, I think a lot of people, like, didn't talk to me about how it impacted them because it was like, well, you're going through it. But to me, all that did was make me feel more alone. Like, I think in the moment, I didn't need people to be like, I'm losing my mind. Like, I didn't need to be the person to help people.
Of course.
But I think when I came kind of out the other side of it, I was like, why am I like the only one that feels like I experienced this? Yeah. I also think during experiencing it, I was like, I truly could not comprehend that it was what was happening to me.
Of course not.
Like, I was like,
I mean, talk about dissociation.
Completely.
Talk about not even in a like dissociation has a level of like, it's not like there's no reason that you are dissociating. This is like you are actively feeling like foreign in your body.
100%.
So like, how could it not trigger anything other than dissociation?
Yeah.
Also, you know what? I want to personally say thank you, because within the span of all of this happening to you, I had to go personally also get a biopsy of not my lungs, not any of the...
Okay, don't diminish your situation.
But the point is that I went and got a biopsy on my... What was it? My uterus.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember if mine was a uterus or my cervix. My uterus, to test for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was happening, and I would have like 100% been freaking out way more, but I was like, this is nothing in comparison. Not that I wasn't taking it seriously.
No, I know. I was with you. I mean, I remember all of this.
But I was like, this is happening, but like, it's happened in O'Reilly like 10 times.
Can I be honest?
As much.
I was like, thank God someone else is going through it with me.
No, but I wasn't even close to what you were going through. But
I know.
At the same time, it was like the threat.
I was like, join the fucking club, bitch. No, just kidding. Didn't want anyone to join the club, but if it was going to join the club, I'd love to have you there.
Yeah, no, I just like, I actually can't let you do anything without me. So I went ahead and almost had cancer in my uterus.
Yeah, you're an empath.
Yeah, so I grew some cancer really quick.
And neither of us had cancer.
No. Mine's still a little like, maybe.
Me too.
Yeah.
So pray for us.
Pray for us. That's awful of me.
I don't think there's many people who like have any right to like joke about cancer. Unfortunately, I do, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. That was really just like, could be cancer. It's not your fault.
Hey, let me be honest. I don't like it either. I'm just saying I was given a fucked up circumstance, okay?
No, you could joke about cancer. Mine was solved within 72 hours. So I'm actually all set. No, that's not true. That's not quite true. It was like a couple weeks, but
no, I know, and
still not,
and it's still a gray area, and
at all the level. They were kind of like, even if it is cancer, we're gonna throw an IUD in there and you'll be fixed. And I said, thanks, girls.
Oh, true.
I have to go get a biopsy. I've been putting it off.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well, I'm sorry. I have a
fucking
podcast to do. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to edit this. I was really being a bad person for a lot of this.
No, you were not.
Not a bad person, but God, can we just fucking say goodbye already?
You hang up first.
No, you hang up. We're not on the phone. We're looking at each other dead in the eyes. I love you.
Love you too.
Bye.